All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Shift Up webinar on Thursday in July 2022. And hey, as we all know, the market is changing. Things are changing. Things are definitely shifting. And that is why it's really, really important to be in this conversation right now. So I'm going to share with you some of the strategies, a few of the strategies that we're using and we've used twice now. I've gone through shifts both times. Our business has come out the other side stronger, doing more business and more profitable using these exact strategies. So I'm excited to share them with you today. A little bit about me is 37 years in sales, going on 38 in November, 20 years in the real estate space, 18 or 17 of those 20 were at Keller Williams, where I was in Gary Keller's private mastermind because I was one of the top agents at the company for a while. I was also a university trainer, and I just have a lot of experience in real estate. Sold a lot of homes, sold over 1,000 homes. I've ran many teams, and we've actually run some of the offices. I also have a podcast called Path to Mastery, which I'd love you to subscribe. I've been fortunate to have Gary V on my show and Mel Robbins and really, really cool people like that. That said, I want to tell you like how I actually, got into real estate. And, it's kind of a funny story. One day my daughter, Jacqueline came home, and, she was 10 at the time, just 10 years old. And she'd come home from a friend's house, and she's like, you know what, Dad, you should get your real estate license. And I was like, okay, like, why should I do that? She's like, well, Mom's friend Sue makes a lot of money selling real estate. And I was just like, okay, do I not make money? I mean, just make pretty good money back then. But anyway, I kind of ignored her, but for whatever reason, the next morning I woke up and it was on my mind to get my real estate license. And, so I went online and I signed up for the course, and thinking back, my daughter's pretty smart because it was probably one of the best decisions I ever made. And, in 5 months later now, I went through the course. I have my real estate license. And as soon as I got my license, I got all these calls from different brokerages. Some of you may relate. And there was this one guy that spoke my language. His name was Steve Clements. And I decided to join his team at Keller Williams Realty. And I remember the first day he said, I want you to show up at the office. And he said, I want you to be there. It was a Sunday morning. He wanted me to be at a Sunday morning at 10 a.m. And he said, I want you to bring all the local real estate sections, like every local newspaper. So I went and I got all the papers, the Globe, the Herald, the Metro West News, the Telegram. I got them all. I pulled out the real estate sections. And he said, I also want you to bring 4x6 index card, just like this. I had an index card. And he said, I want you to bring a highlighter, scissors. And I was just like, what, Scotch tape. And I'm just like, what does all this have to do with real estate, right? And what I realized is that was the system back then. But anyway, so we showed up at the office, and as soon as we got there, it was me and three other agents, and Steve ushered us right into a large conference room, and he showed us right away how to pull out the newspapers and highlight all the for sale by owner ads. Guys, that was our system back then for finding the for sale by owner ads. So we highlighted them with the marker, and then after we cut them out and we taped them right to the top of the index cards, and that was the system we used back then. It was antiquated, but it worked. And he then handed us all a script, and he said, okay, I want you to read through the script 3 times. So we all took, 10 minutes or so. We read through the script 3 times each. And then he said, okay, great. Now you guys are going to practice. So we partnered us up and we practiced role play about 5 times back and forth with the other partner. And he said, okay, great. It's time to get on the phones. And okay, great. Take those index cards out and let's go. And I remember my first call, I had my index card. I picked up the phone. I made the call. I was kind of nervous, but the person answered, I was like, oh yeah, hi, this is David Hill. And it was a for sale by owner day. Before I could even finish, they cut me off, said, we're all set, click, hung up. Now, second call, same thing. I stuck to the script. It's like, hi, yeah, David Hill from Keller. And yeah, no, hey. Before I could finish, they jumped in again. Listen, if we need a realtor, we know plenty of realtors. We'll give you a call back. And thanks for the call. Bang, hung up. So I'm like, wow, okay, great. Steve's like, you're doing great. So now on the third call, same thing. But this time, it's like, hi, David Hill, Keller. And I got a little further with this person. They were a little bit more polite, but in the end, they did end up just saying, we're all set. You know, if we need some help, we can give you a call back, and hung up. And Steve looked at me again, said, this is great, man. You're doing really good. So now on the fourth call, I decided to go a little off script because I came into this business with a lot of experience on the phone. So this time I went to a script I had from publishing, and I just said, hi, my name's David Hill. And, I'm just wondering if I know you're selling a house yourself, and would you be open-minded to using me to sell the house? And the person like paused and was like, maybe. And when they said maybe, I was like, like I literally started stuttering. And then Steve went and grabbed the phone out of my hand and closed our first appointment. And it's kind of funny story now thinking back, at the moment though, he told us what to say if they said no. He never really told us what to say if they said yes. And I, wasn't expecting the maybe, so it threw me off. But the bottom line is, listen, I was grateful for Steve. I mean, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have started with the for sale by owners. But what I realized is after being on Steve's team for about 4 months was he had a system that really didn't work that great. And it was very, very difficult to follow the scripts and the systems he was using to get listings. So I decided I needed to create my own system, so I left Steve's team and after dealing with a lot of disappointment and the rest is history. And now here we are, 20 years later, after tens of thousands of calls, I'd say over $250,000 spent on training myself, personal development, thousands of hours, 20,000 hours or more of in the trenches, making calls, successfully listing thousands of homes. I took Steve's process, from the antiquated index card system to an automated system that every morning sends me emails with all the for sale by owner and expired phone numbers. I took it from a stuttering cold call to a non-scripted, clear way of asking great questions and handling objections. And I took it from rejection and disappointment, which ultimately is why I ended up leaving Steve's team. Besides the commission structure was a little weird. I was thinking there's got to be a better way of doing this. Besides all the rejection, disappointment, frustration, it took me from that to a way that I can pick up the phone anytime I choose and get listings. And I'm talking about full commission, full service listings. And I'll tell you, I think most realtors today probably have some type of a process better than index cards, right? But I'd be willing to bet it can be a lot better. And here's what I want to let you know. If I can do this, I believe you can as well. And in the next 30 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how to do this. So let me quickly share my screen with you guys. Hold on 1 second. Go back to this presentation right here. And slideshow from current slide. All right, awesome. So are you seeing, just confirm, you're seeing the overview slide, Sam? Is that accurate?
The one with the arrows.
Yep, with the arrows. And now
Yeah.
it says course overview, 4 strategies.
Yeah.
All right, excellent. So I'm going to share with you 4 strategies today really quickly. And then at the end, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up for questions. So we're going to save some time at the end for questions. But as I mentioned earlier, if anybody is interested, you can just type in the chat and we'll make sure or we get to those. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is having a proactive mindset, which is very, very critical in this market. And by the way, I want to let you know, all of these strategies, most of them, not all of them, but most of them do come from Gary Keller's book, Shift, the book that was written, because that was the book that we used to get through both of the shifting markets. So the first thing starts with a proactive mindset. The next thing starts with expense management, meaning managing your expenses and understanding what is a good ROI and what isn't. And then the third thing we're going to talk about is lead capture, which is critical because leads are the name of the business. And if you're not getting leads, you really have no business. And then the fourth is going to be exceeding expectations. So we're going to talk about each of those really quickly on this webinar. And then again, we're going to open it up to questions. So the first thing is having a proactive mindset is really, really critical. And you know, what I like to say is we are in control of our actions, but nothing else. I mean, I cannot control the market. I can't control what's happening in the economy. I can't control what the government does. I can't control gas prices, right? Grocery, everything is up. You know, I can't control the information that other sellers and people are getting. However, I can give them information. But the one thing I am in control of is my own mindset. And I like to think of it as a commitment to myself. It starts with the commitment. And for me, it starts with a routine and having the right routine. And it's not just the routine, but it's a big part of it. It's like, what am I doing on a daily basis? What time do I get up? Okay. Am I committed to learning? Am I committed to personal development? Am I committed to realizing that, hey, you know what? I think of these markets as green light, red light. And what do I mean by that? I mean, green light it's an opportunity. Red light, it's a challenge. Okay. Because I've got so many examples of opportunities that I missed out on last time because I didn't take advantage of the opportunity. I only looked at things as a challenge. So I love the commitment. The commitment is to become a better person, to be willing to put in the effort. By the way, in the book, Gary talks about having to put in twice as much effort for the same amount of income or the same amount of work or the same amount of result. And a lot of people don't want to do that. A lot of people are not willing to commit to doing something like that. The next one is going to be my community. Okay. Your community is going to be critically important. I can't say enough about the community. This is the people you're spending time with. This is the people that you're listening to. These are the people that you're around on a regular basis. This is the influence that you're having on yourself. You get to pick and choose your community. The people that you're spending time with, I'm telling you, it's going to make or break you. And you got to remember too, your clients have community as well. So you want to make sure you get into their community and you need to start sharing things with them. You need to actually become, and I'm going to get to that right now. You need to become the education that they're getting. Okay. You will become the media for them. So not only do you need to educate them, but you need to start educating yourself. Like, know everything that's happening in your market, know your statistics, know the numbers, pay attention to what's happening. And I don't mean, like, I'm not saying go sit on Fox News or CNN all day and watch the doom and gloom stuff. It's not about that. It's just about knowing and having enough information so that you can have an educated conversation with people. So when someone says to you, well, how's the market? You know the market better than most of the real estate agents in your market. You know how many homes are on the market, you know days on the market, you know absorption rate, you know all that stuff. Like, you need to be that expert. Okay, and here's the other thing you want to let people know. It's like I said earlier, the commitment is, listen, this is a cycle. Everything's a cycle. Real estate, like, go back and look in the 1960s or the 50s when they started tracking real estate. Even though there's been ups and downs, right? It's still way up here compared to where it was. It still went way up, and that's going to continue. So even though there's the ups and downs, so we have to remind people of that. We have to remind people of seasons. You know, like anything, seasons. We have seasons in our life where things will go down. It's temporary. It's not forever. So you need to remember that too, with your mindset that, hey, I may need to put in a little bit more work right now, or maybe a lot bit more work right now, but I will be rewarded big time. You know why? Because most people aren't willing to put in the extra work. That's the reality. A lot of people are not going to be willing to put in the extra work that it's going to take right now. So the second thing I want to talk to you about is our expenses. So I like to think of it, is it expenses, or is it something that generates an ROI, which is an investment? Okay. So what has been the ROI? We looked at, like I said, I've gone through this a couple of times now where I had to look at everything I was spending money on, and we had to cut a lot of stuff. There were a lot of things that we were paying for, and it seemed nice. Like one example was realtor.com enhanced services. The only reason I even did that, to be honest with you, remember I said I started on Steve's team? When I started on Steve's team, Steve did that for all his listings as like to show his sellers how he stood out. And it used to generate leads, 20 something years ago now, or almost 20 years ago now. And I did that forever, and I wasn't even getting leads anymore, but I was still paying like $329 a month for something just to have it. So once I started looking at it and saying, okay, well, geez, I paid for the whole year. I paid over $4,000 for this, and I can't even attribute one closing to it. I said, okay, this is something that's probably not a good ROI anymore. I had this system recently. I just did this. I found two things on my credit cards that I was being billed monthly for that were not producing ROI. One was an email writing software that was $49 a month that I hadn't used in 6 months, but yet I was paying $49 a month. And another one was an auto bot that, auto responds to social media texts and messages. And at first when I got it, I liked it, but then I realized, a lot of people, I just didn't use it. That's the one. I don't want to say it's bad or good. I'm just telling you, I didn't use it. So I got rid of it. Also we had Showtime Anytime. We had HBO Max. We had, what's it called? ESPN Plus. All those channels, wasn't even using them, but yet it's $28 a month. I'm just throwing out the window. Why bother? So what we did is we kept Disney Plus for the kids because they love Disney Plus, and we kept Netflix. And the rest of it, we got rid of all those channels. I don't watch much TV anyway. Just don't need them. Why spend an extra? Is $28 a month going to change my life? No. But what in the reality, when I added all this stuff together, I found like $300 worth of over $300 a month worth of stuff that just wasn't doing anything for my business anymore. So it's all the little things like that. So I would challenge you right now to go back and look at your stuff and say, is this still working for me? Is this still generating a result? And then the next question is, do I absolutely need it? Is this something I absolutely need? Do I need Disney Plus? I need Disney Plus. Do I need HBO Max and all those other? No, I don't. Right? Do I need the artificial intelligence email writer? Well, when I first ordered, I thought I did, but then I realized I wasn't even using it. So I didn't need it. So I got rid of it. All right. And then the next thing I want to talk to you guys about is the lead capture. Okay. Or lead captures. And this starts with just being in touch with everyone. And I'm going to bring you right back to the beginning where we started with mindset. One of the first things we want to do is we want to get in touch with every single person we know and have a conversation with them about real estate. Everybody in our database. You can go to your phone, this phone I'm holding, every person in there. You can reach out to people in your phone. Just say, hey, you know what? Oh my gosh, your number's in my phone. I apologize so much. This is David Hill. I can't even remember who this is. I wanted to reach out and see, who this number is. You can do that if you want. Obviously the people in your database, you call everybody, check in with them. How are they doing? How's the home? Have they bought yet? Have they sold? Do they know anybody else? Right? Ask people indirectly for business. Who do you know? I mean, we got so much business over the years, just reaching out to people. And here's the thing. Remember when COVID first hit, everybody, it was like the thing we all did. Every realtor, I think it was more than just realtors, but everybody was going out and they were getting in touch with every single person they know. They were calling a database and checking in on them and making, the sphere of influence, making sure everybody's okay. Right. And checking in and saying, hey, how are things? I think now personally is another really great opportunity to do that. I think now there's so much uncertainty out there in the world. There's so many people that are just, afraid. I hate to say that, but it's reality. So call and help and give them some certainty. talk to them like about the things we're talking about right now. Like, hey, you know what? Yes, things are a little challenging, but yes, it's a cycle. It's temporary. There's opportunities out there now. I was talking to a lady last week, and she's got a $900,000 house in Westboro, Massachusetts, and she gets her information from Realtor.com, and all she kept talking about was how there's 9 houses sitting and not selling, and I was like, you're missing it though. There's actually 6 other homes in your area that are under contract. So yes, we could focus on the 9 that aren't selling, or do you want to be like me and let's focus on the 6 that are under contract and figure out what they did? See, that's what's happening with a lot of people right now. They're focusing on the wrong thing. So we need to show up and we need to help people. We need to really help people right now. So it's a perfect opportunity. Be in touch with everybody you know that sphere of influence. The next thing is motivated people. Do not spend time with unmotivated people. I'm serious. It can, even no matter what the business is doing, no matter what the market's doing. I used to teach for Keller back in the day, and I used to teach a course called Win with Sellers. And I'd go around the country and I'd teach in all different offices. And I would say, there's one thing you're going to leave here with today, one single thing. And I kept all day saying it. And the one thing I'd say is only work with motivated people. And by the end of the day, I'd say, what's the one thing? And everybody would say, only work with motivated people. What's the one thing? Only work. Like, that is a difference maker in your real estate career, no matter what the market's doing. But here's the challenge now with a shifting market. When you have only half the amount of people doing business that normally do, it's even more critical that you only work with the most highly motivated people. It's absolutely critical. So you need to get really, really good at asking questions in order to figure that out, figure out who is motivated and who's not. And then here's something else that has been phenomenal is alternative lead sources. We're doing really, really good with some alt lead sources right now. So I'm going to give you a couple that we use. One is ZBuyer, and my assistant Sam will post the link for ZBuyer. If you use the link that we send you, you get 10% off. Now, ZBuyer is great because what's happening is, as I shared earlier, there's so much fear right now. And if you need the link, you can just go to davidhill.link, and it's at the bottom. Again, davidhill.link. Go down to the bottom, you'll see ZBuyer. You can click on that and you can get access. You can get 10% off if you use our link. The thing that's cool about ZBuyer, maybe it's not cool, maybe it's not the right choice of words, but the thing that makes it effective is you got a lot of people in fear right now because of what's happening. So they go to ZBuyer to find out what their home's worth and potentially get a cash offer. So you've got people reaching out and saying, hey, we'd like to know, we're open to getting a cash offer. So what ends up happening is when somebody registers, then they send the leads back to the real estate agents that pay for leads. So great source. I've got a bunch of clients using it right now, listing properties, going on listing appointments on a daily basis, taking listings every week. And it's been a phenomenal alternative lead source. I only use it during the downturns. Both of the last shifts that I went through, I used ZBuyer and it was super effective. I personally don't use it when the market's up and strong, because the leads aren't as strong as motivated. And then another one that we use is Agent Pronto, Agent Pronto, and that's been a really, really good source of leads for us as well. If you can get in their system, I know they typically are only looking to work with like top producing realtors, but Agent Pronto is another one I would definitely look at as an alternative lead source. All right. And then the last thing I told you I want to talk to you about is exceeding expectations. Okay. Here's something that comes from Cardone. He says, over promise and over deliver. See, I'm a Cardone licensee trainer, and I'm also a Cardone coach, and I'm also with Success Coaching. I have a Success certification, which I'm super excited about as well. So I've got a lot of experience. I've been in the coaching space for about 8 years now. I did a lot of coaching with Keller, and I was a bold coach, red shirt. I did just the whole deal. I went through the whole deal. It was curriculum. So I got a lot of experience with that. And one of the things we talked about is you hear this all the time. You hear under promise. You guys can finish the sentence, right? Under promise in what? You guys can just say over deliver, right? Because that's what they said. Grant, what I love about what Grant says, no, you just over promise and over deliver. Like I just said, wow, that's next level. Like over promise and then even over deliver on that. I just think it's badass. Excuse my language. I swore on my own webinar. But yeah, over promise, over deliver. And that means you show up and you do what you say you're going to do, and you do it even better, and you get them the results they're looking for, and you're on point, and your communication's on point, and every single thing, I can't even stop my fingers, every single thing you do is so on point. Like just early yesterday, I listed a property a week ago. I told the guy, I said, we can't list this property over 450. And he's like, I'm looking for 5. I says, it doesn't make sense. Okay. Based on the market now, it's not going to work at 5. I said, for even 450 is pushing it. It's probably worth 425. But anyway, I said, you know what? I'd love to help you, sir. His name's Paulino. I'd love to help, but I just can't. I can't do that. You know, it's going to be a waste of your time. It's going to be a waste of my time. And I said, no problem. If you don't want to list at 5, it's fine. I appreciate it. It was nice to meet you. And I wish you the best of luck. And I went to leave, and he's like, well, no, hold on. He goes, can you do it? He's like, listen, I just want to try it. Can we try it for a week? Try it for a week. And, you know, I'm like, it's a waste of time. And he says, well, what do you got to lose? and I said, I guess, you know, I go, well, I guess really nothing, I guess if I try it for a week, but you make sure after a week, if it doesn't sell, we're going to reduce the price 50,000. And he said, okay, I'll do that. I'll do that. By the way, this was an expired seller. So anyway, we throw it on at 489. We get nothing at the open house. We get 0 showings, which is super rare. So I call him up and I'm like, hey, it's David. He's like, I thought you said you were a great realtor. I was like, what? Like, who are you talking to? Like I didn't say who you're talking, but I'm like, I never said that. I said, I told you we're listing 50,000 over where we should be. So anyway, bottom line, I said, so here's what we need to do. We need to now adjust the price like we said. And he's like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that. I'm like, well, what do you mean you don't know if you want to do that? We already had this conversation. We've had no showings. He's like, well, I don't know. Like, I think I want to wait a while. I said, you know what, Paulino, no problem at all. I'm going to send you 2 documents. One is going to be a release of the contract, and the other one's going to be a price adjustment. You just sign whichever one you want. Sign whichever one makes more sense for you. You know which one you sign? You signed the price adjustment, right? Because I did every single thing I said I was going to do, and I was not attached to any outcome. So when you're not attached to outcomes, you can exceed expectations. All right. Here's a great example of something that exceeds expectations. Amazon. I believe it's the strongest business model out there. Think about it. Okay. I want you to think about Amazon. You can get anything you want. You get it at the best pricing. Okay. Typically the best pricing. All right. You can get it delivered right away. And in some areas, you can get it within a couple hours. Okay. Think about it. Anything, best pricing, get it within a day or a couple hours. And oh, by the way, if you don't like it, you send it back and there's no questions asked. They give you your money. You tell me. I've been waiting for people to share a better model than that. I have not had one person yet. Somebody did say, well, Sears used to do that. Okay, great. Well, Sears is not in business anymore. So maybe they did. I don't know. I never really shopped at Sears. It's probably before my time. But anyway, that is what I'm talking about. So can you show up like that in your business and be that type of a model, exceed expectations? So what do I have is I have a 28-day guarantee. I have a hassle-free program. I have an options program. So when I show up to people, I can say to people, hey, here's 4 options. Which one works best for you? Hey, here, give me 28 days. At the end of 28 days, if you don't have the result you want, you can terminate our agreement. Oh, and by the way, at the end of 28 days, I can terminate the agreement as well, which is why I sent that guy those 2 documents, because we had this conversation. And I says, hey, at 7 days, we'll do the weekend. And then if you want to fire me, no problem. And if I want to move on, no problem. So exceed expectations. So how do you do that? Number one is use a calendar. Have a calendar system, have a schedule. Okay. It's not complicated. Right? Every day, first thing I do, I get up. Well, before I do my prayers first, and then I do I journal my goals, and then I go into my calendar and I look at my calendar and I get it all into my planner, and I intentionalize, like, what do I want from, like, every appointment in my planner. I look at it and I say, what do I want the outcome to be here? Even this webinar right now, like this, I thought about this morning. I said, what did I want the outcome to be from this webinar? The other thing that we do is I schedule reminders. Here's a perfect example of how to use the reminders. Vulcan 7, I talked to an expired seller, and he said, yeah, I'm all set. And I says, well, what'd you do with the house? He's like, yeah, I rented it. And I said, well, how long did you rent it for? And he said 2 years, and hung up the phone on me. So I was in Vulcan 7. So I went and I made a note. I said, rented the house for 2 years, this date coming up for renewal. And I scheduled a reminder in Vulcan 7 for 20 months out. Think about that. The guy hung up on me. I went, scheduled a reminder 20 months out. The note said, rented the house for 2 years, coming up for renewal this date. I completely forgot the guy existed. Forgot he existed until that morning. I logged into Vulcan 7 and I saw the reminder and I looked at it and still forgot about it until I saw the notes. I said, oh, I kind of vaguely remember talking to this guy. So I called him. And this time he was like, yeah. He goes, I don't know. I think I said, yeah, this is David Hill, Keller Williams. And you had a house that came off the market almost 2 years ago now. I know you rented it. Are you going to be renewing your lease? And he said, I don't know. That's a good question. He goes, give me a week. Call me back next week. Let me talk to the tenant. I call him back next week. And what does he say to me? He says, he goes, the tenant's going to be renewing the lease. But if you call me back next year, we can talk then. And said, okay, cool. He hangs up on me. So I take the reminder and I move it 12 months out. Again, never got the guy's email address, never got anything, forgot the guy even existed until a year later. I log into Vulcan 7, I see the reminder, and I call. Hey, it's David Hill again. We spoke last year. Do you know if he goes, your timing is perfect. The tenant is not renewing the lease. When can you tell me how much the house is worth? I said, I can get out there soon. He said, confirm an appointment with the tenant, work it out. The tenants are leaving. Went out there, $700,000 listing, sold, sealed, delivered, simply by setting scheduled follow-ups. And then the final thing I'm going to say is providing valuable information to people. Really, really important. We talked about this earlier, but be the media for people. And when I say be the media, it's exactly what I talked about before. Provide valuable information. People care about information on their home, their neighborhood, what's happening locally. That's what people are looking for. Okay. Interest rates, things that are happening. If you have information like that other people don't have, that puts you way ahead of the crowd. I know agents that will go in the MLS every week and create their own spreadsheets and their own charts and graphs so that when they show up, they're the only ones that have that. That's how you provide great information to people. And I like to think of it as being a realist, but an optimist. So like I spread real information, but I do it optimistically. Like the reality is, times are a little challenging right now for everybody. We're all feeling it. I mean, everybody that goes to the gas pump feels the difference. But the reality is there's still opportunities out there. Gas prices probably going to come down, not to $2 again, but probably come back down to $4 or so where it was, or $3.50, hopefully where it was before the pandemic. So we just have to, keep that mindset right. So I want to share a couple of the mistakes I made personally and then I'm going to open it up for questions. So, one of the biggest mistakes I made in the past was I always went like way too fast. So I would just show up to meet with somebody, and I would just want to get in and out and just keep moving and kind of grinding and not slowing down, not really educating myself enough. I always made mistakes with high C analytical sellers because I was very optimistic. So I'd meet with somebody that was really analytical and somebody that like needed numbers and needed statistics and needed that information. And my challenge was, I was so like optimistic. I thought everybody was optimistic like me. Like, hey man, I'm the top guy in the MLS. Like I was number one last year in production. Like I can get the job done. Don't worry about the other houses in the neighborhood and all this other stuff. And I learned that I was missing out because I wasn't giving people what they wanted. The other thing, again, not focusing on the relationship. That was a big mistake I made. So I had a lot of one and done deals. We missed out on a lot of referrals. Another big mistake, not being in touch with the people in my database. I know sometimes I may, we all have that mindset like, well, I haven't called them in 2 years. What are they going to think? Well, they don't know you're supposed to call them every year or every 3 months or whatever it is. So just call them, right? Just call them. That was a big mistake I made. And here's the biggest mistake I made. One of the biggest is not investing in real estate, not investing in myself and not investing in real estate. I can share so many stories. I'm not going to do it now for purposes of time of amazing deals. I was an agent for Wells Fargo. I had Wells Fargo and Chase Bank assets for 2 years. I used to sell the REO properties for them. Some of the properties that came across my desk that I sold to other investors, my gosh, there's one deal where I looked at it 6 months ago. I made a $14,000 commission that I was happy. I skipped to the bank for $14,000 commission, and he made almost $600,000 on the same transaction. So that's another big mistake I made, is not buying the real estate, but just honestly, just selling it. So I would challenge you guys to really, look at like, what can I do different this time around? What opportunities can I create? So I want to bring you back to, well, let me share this with you. Then I'm gonna open up for questions after. I want to make sure too that I share an opportunity with you guys. So here's the thing. When I do these presentations, one of the most common questions I get asked personally is David, can you help me get more listings in my real estate business? And the answer is yes, of course. We have, and as a matter of fact, next week, we're starting our 35 call challenge. And what that is we get together every day for 7 days, and then it runs the whole month, 30 days of making phone calls, creating accountability, being in touch with expireds, with for sale by owners, with our sphere of influence, with different lead services that I talked about, access to our membership, and all these amazing tools where we put you into our community with the people that are absolutely crushing it every day. Because I talked to you earlier about community. So our 35 call challenge actually starts next week, and it starts on Monday, the 11th. And I'm going to give you some information on that. And like I said, we're extending it out over 30 days. The first 7 days are really intensive, where we get together for 75 minutes a day and we break down a specific strategy for a specific type of motivated sellers, because that's what we're focusing on, motivated sellers. So what I would tell you is, it doesn't matter if you're a brand new agent and you've never taken a listing before, or maybe you're in the middle somewhere where you're taking listings, but you feel like I can get to the next level, or maybe you're an agent that's crushing it with listings and you realize there's an even higher level. This training's for you. I mean, when I was running my team, we were averaging 20 listings every single month with 4 agents. So, we've lived this, and I have a community of people that are doing this now on a daily basis. So I want you to picture a day when you can confidently pick up the phone and call anyone with confidence, and picture a day when other realtors are calling you and just saying, hey man, wow, how are you getting all these listings? Right? Or picture a day when you have the freedom, in the wealth, to live the dream, the life of your dreams, and travel and go on vacation and do whatever you want to do and take some time off. Well, here's the thing, that day, honestly, can be right now. And here's I'm going to have my assistant drop something in the chat. And I want to let you know what we created for you. Okay, let me share my screen with you, and then I'm going to open it up for some questions after this. I went and created this for the challenge. So the challenge it starts Monday the 11th. You can look up the website. It's there, 35callchallenge.com. Everything's right there. It's $297 for the whole month of training and accountability. But we created a code for today for people that want to take action right now on this webinar. There's a code for $50 off, so you can get it for $247. So Sam, can you drop the link in the chat? If you could do that, there's a link as well as a code, so you can sign up right now. Again, this is a now sign up. This is not like a, hey, tomorrow afternoon. The code is going to be available for the next hour, or we'll leave it. What time is it now? It's 4. We'll leave it for a few hours. We'll leave it till about 4 o'clock, until about 8 o'clock tonight Eastern time. If some people may need to think about things, move some stuff around, that's fine. Okay, but the code's going to go away. So if you want to join us in the challenge, the opportunity is now to join us and take advantage of that. Get yourself into the challenge and spend 30 days with us. And here's the other thing I do. I like to, like I said, I like to exceed expectations. So here's what I'm going to do to exceed expectations. You join the challenge, and at the end of it, and if you show up for every call and then say, you know what, David, I showed up, I didn't get the result that I expected, we will refund 100% of your money. That's the guarantee to you. So you have absolutely nothing to lose. The only thing now to do is just to get signed up and join the challenge. So what I want to do is I'm going to open it up for questions in a minute. And my daughters are standing here looking at me. What is going on, girls? We're going right now. All right, awesome. I will see you guys in a little bit. Okay, I love you. Thank you. Okay, I know. I'm going to meet you guys. I love you. All right, cool. So in 2017, I personally joined a network, a group, a CEOs, top producing real estate agents. And, it was a mastermind. It was a 1-year mastermind. And at the first event, a 3-day event, we were all challenged to do a health track. So the options were yoga, which sounded pretty wimpy to me, interval training, which was not bad. I was in good shape, and an Ironman race, which was just like, hell no, I'm not doing an Ironman race. I mean, I didn't even own a bike. I could hardly swim. So that was just not something I was willing to do. But over the next 3 days, being in the event, the host just kept pressuring everybody to step it up to the next level. So if you chose yoga, you would do an interval. If you chose interval, you were doing Ironman. So obviously I chose the interval because that was the easy choice for me. And I was content to stick with the interval, but I'll tell you what, part of me they knew inside that I could do more. So on the last night, I agreed to step it up to the next level and do the Ironman race. And I felt good about my decision until the first time I went to the YMCA, the Ellington YMCA Connecticut pool, and I swam one lap, one time, 25 meters across, and I panicked. And I said, oh my God, what have I got myself into? I just swam one lap. I'm drinking nasty chlorine pool water, and I can hardly breathe. And I did the numbers in my head, and I said, oh my God, in order to do this race, I would have to do 78 laps back and forth. And in my mind, I said, that's impossible. I left the pool, and I do what any husband's going to do is I first call my wife and I said, hon, this is impossible. I got to get out of it. Now, my wife's always super supportive, and she said, you can do it. That's what she always says. So I just said, okay, well, I knew I wasn't going to get anywhere with her. So I didn't believe her, but I said, okay. And my next call was to the host. And I'm not going to repeat exactly what he said, but what I took from it was hire a coach. And I said, they have real, they have swimming coaches. He's like, yeah, and hung up on me. So anyway, I went to the YMCA counter and they gave me the number for Joel, who was the coach for the YMCA. So I spoke with Joel. He told me his fee was about $80 a lesson. And I was like, I can kind of figure this out on my own, but I agreed to meet him. And then during the next 4 days, before our meeting, I went to the pool and I swam and I got some help from Ben, the lifeguard, but he couldn't really give me his full attention, but it was free, right? I'd even considered canceling Joel, but I didn't. So at the first meeting, Joel watched me swim back and down, and I was pretty confident. I made it all the way down and back without drowning. Okay. I'd come a long way in 4 days, but he looked at me and he said, okay, I want you to change a few things in your stroke. And he watched me swim back and down probably 10 or so more times. He said, all right, I want you to practice that for another 30 minutes and then meet me back here tomorrow morning. And I almost said no. I almost said, no, I'm good. I'll figure this out. But I agreed. So the next morning, he showed up. He said, okay, I want you to swim back and forth with the new stroke. And I was so proud. I swam down and I swam back. And as soon as I went to grab the end of the pool, he said, now swim back. And I says, huh? He said, swim back. And I said, now? He says, yeah, now. And I was like, I was out of breath. I said, okay. So I started swimming and I dragged myself all the way to the other end. And he walked along the pool next to me. I got to the other end and now I was really out of breath. And I was like, and I went to grab him. He said, swim back. I was like, what? He said, swim back. And I was like, I can't. And he said, swim back. And I was like, oh my gosh, where did this guy come from? But anyway, I turned around and I dragged myself all the way back. I mean, I was like, out of breath. And I don't know if any swimmers out there swimming, when you swim like a straight out L, like body not like you're supposed to be parallel. My body was like this. I mean, anyway, I made it back. I did 4 laps without stopping. And less than 6 days ago, I could do 1 lap. I was out of breath, drinking nasty pool water, and I was ready to quit. Now, here's the interesting thing about this, and I thought about this after, is I'd be willing to bet I probably could have pulled out those 4 laps the first day in the pool, but nobody was there to push me to do it. So in just 5 weeks, I had done 16 laps. Now, 5 weeks later, I did 16 laps without stopping. Amazing. That whole process with Joel lasted about 3 months before I felt comfortable on my own, and I ended up hiring a triathlon coach. And here's what I want you to get from the story. Joel helped me to do things that I thought were impossible. Joel helped me to have breakthroughs, not just in swimming, but breakthroughs in other areas of my life. And those breakthroughs showed up as confidence. And those breakthroughs showed up as showing up and working and doing all the other thing. And here's what I know, okay? Those breakthroughs helped me in my business. I believe that with all my heart, Joel was the reason I completed that Ironman race. And here's what I know. Some of you that are on here now are probably thinking, you know what, David, I can figure this out on my own. I know it. I'll figure it out, or I'll find someone that can do this for me for free, right? I know, because I know how people think, because I did the exact same thing. But I promise you, that's me at the finish line of the Ironman Lake Placid 70.3, going through the finish line. And I like I said, I would not even have started the race if it wasn't for Joel. Never mind finished it. I completed this race, and I truly believe the reason I did it was because of Joel. So the next challenge for you simply is to get yourself registered for the 35 Call Challenge. It's an easy choice. You be with us starting next Monday. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make it even easier. If you register now, we'll put you in our membership starting tomorrow and give you $50 off. So Sam posted the link earlier. She's going to post it again for you so you can get registered. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop the share and I'm going to open it up for questions for for you guys. So I appreciate y'all being here. And what questions do you have? And that's
I have a question.
Yes, Nicole.
Okay. So for the challenge, you said it was 35 days, right?
It's 30 days total. So what it is, it's 7 days next week. It's 5 calls over 7 days.
And they're all
And
at 2 o'clock?
2 to 3 p.m. Eastern time, exactly, or 2 to 3:15 Eastern time. So there's a call on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, no call Thursday. There's a call Friday, and then there's a second call on Monday. The final call is the following Monday. You also be in our membership where we meet every morning. We have a huddle. You don't have to be on every huddle if you don't want to. Some people choose to. We have a huddle every morning at 9 a.m. So that's how we extend it 30 months for everybody. We put you into our membership. Our members, we have over 60 members right now that pay $99 a month to be on our membership. And we're going to put you in our membership for the month for free. So you get that extra accountability. Does that answer your question?
It does. I'm just curious. So like, how often do you do them? So I work right now. It would be too late for me I only do it twice next week I'm doing twice a week. Normally I do it once a week and I don't get home till about 3:30. So I was curious if I'm still able to do it, if I know off the bat I'm gonna miss one day
Well,
a week and next week too.
So how many days would you miss next week?
Next week I would miss 2 because I'm covering for someone.
So the calls are all recorded,
Okay.
by the way. So you get the recordings, and again, it's extended out through the whole month. So essentially you get the whole month too. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't let that stop you as long as you can be on 3 calls live, and then you can watch the recordings, and then you'd have all the follow-up calls. So good question.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Anybody else have a question? By the way, if you're in our community already, I know some of you are in the community. So if you're in the community, basically what I'm doing is it's $150 for you. We're taking your $99 membership off for the month. So if anybody's in the community that wants to join us on the challenge, which is going to be a special call, you're welcome to just email me or email Sam, and we can send you a link and you guys can get signed up for that. Any other questions? It could be a question about the event, what I spoke on. It could be a question about the community, completely up to you. It could be a question about anything.
I got another one.
Yeah, love it.
So you said early on in the webinar that you had emails sent to you every day with FISBOs and expired. Where do you get those? Where do you get those lists?
Yeah, Vulcan 7 is the system we use. Sam can send you a link if interested. If you use our link, you get your 4th month for free. So instead of you can sign up. It's the same price. Makes no difference whether you go through us or you go to their site. But with us, you get your 4th month for free. We use Vulcan 7. Depending on your budget, there's other services that I like Vulcan 7. I feel like it's the best system. It's like the Mercedes.
They give you the phone numbers too, or they just
they give you the phone numbers, they give you the email, they give you everything. So all you do is in the morning you log in and everything's there for you. It's a great system. And they also do something too, is if, when you first sign up, your first 30 days, if you go on every day and make calls and you don't take at least one listing, they give you your first month for free as well. So it's an awesome system. So if Sam's I'm not sure if Sam's still with us or not, but if she is, she can drop the link.
Put it in there. I see it.
All right, awesome. Yep. So that's the system. All right, anybody else have any questions? All right, well, we don't have a lot of questions. So unless we have any other questions, I'm probably going to wrap it up, and it's 3:58. So we went right to 4 o'clock like I planned. I hope that was useful for you guys. Anybody want to share any takeaways? Anybody got a takeaway? I'd love to hear a couple takeaways if you want. Anybody want to? It looks like everybody's shy. That's okay.
I said hire a coach. I was muted. I was taking.
Oh, well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, hey, I'm happy to talk to you about that as well. If that's something you're open to, we do that as well. But I'll tell you, a great place to start is jump into the challenge, hang out with us for a month. It's the best and the most coaching you're going to get for the amount of money you're going to invest. And you get to do the challenge and be in our community for a month. Worst case scenario, if somebody doesn't have the funds to do the full challenge, join the community. It's only $99 a month, and you can, be in the community, but you you won't be part of the challenge. That's all. So there's a lot of opportunities there. If I can help with anything, let me know. You're on our email list now. Just email me. And if you use the code, like I said, the code is 50 off at just checkout. Just put the number 50 off, and it'll take $50 off your registration right now. That code will be gone tomorrow. So, and it's a small community too. It's going to be no more than 30 people total. So we'll be partnering people up with role play partners and everything. It's awesome. It's super, super fun.
Hey, David, Debbie.
Hey, Debbie.
I probably should know more about this $35 day call challenge, but could you explain to me what that looks like? I don't understand exactly what takes place.
Yeah. So what we do, Debbie, is we get together starting next Monday. We get together for 75 minutes on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and then next Monday. And each day we just work, we focus on a specific client, seller, and we practice and we talk about the offer. And then we go out and we have 7 conversations. I don't think I said that either. I missed that. So thank you for bringing that up. We go out and everybody's accountable to having 7 conversations with that specific type of seller before the next call. And what we're seeing is every time we've done this, the reason it's 35 is every time we've done this, if people are willing to have 35 purposeful conversations, they end up taking at least 1 listing every single time. So
Do you make the
Mondays,
calls in front of each other, or how's that work? What
say that again.
you role play together, but then you make your calls on your own, correct?
Yeah. You're going to be making your calls on your own. And we also partner you up with a role play partner so you guys can do some role play. Yep. And then again, being in the community, you bring up the challenges on the community call. You're in our community, right? On the morning huddles.
Yep.
You bring things and you get more feedback and you get more role play partners. So that's why we're rolling it all together. Does that help?
That's cool. Yeah. The other thing is on the FSBO expireds, are those scrubbed or not? Just the
Yeah,
Vulcan
they are
7,
scrubbed.
Vulcan 7.
Vulcan 7 absolutely scrubs all the numbers.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. And then you can decide if you want to call them or not.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
All right, cool. Awesome. All right. Anybody else? Final questions before we wrap it up for today? What do they say in the wedding? They say, speak now or forever hold your peace. So
Thank you.
all right, y'all. We appreciate you guys being here. If make sure, get registered, sign up. If you're in a community, send us an email. We'll get you signed up for the discounted rate. And thank you.